All right, what is up, guys? Welcome to the nullToProd video series where I'm going to be taking a web application from scratch to a full production grade application that'll be hosted from my own web server and put out on the internet for everyone to use. So, the goal of this series is kind of just to highlight some of the aspects of the development I'm going through, and as I'm learning the React, Node, MySQL tech stack, I'm just going to be pointing out some things that I find interesting, or mainly large milestones as I work through the project. So I don't think I'm going to do too many code alongs per se, but I'll certainly do some fill in the blanks and code reviews for sure. And basically, the nullToProd project will kind of be a fork of my actual project, which I will certainly show that code as well. But right now, where I'm at, which is the very beginning of the project lifecycle, the nullToProd is where I'm going to be kind of testing out some new theories, ways of doing things, and just general playground trying to learn and just get better at development. So right now we're going to be working on kind of making just a basic CRUD app. It's not going to be craziness. It's just going to be very simple, just kind of getting the proof of concept out to myself, really, of connecting to a MySQL database and running that through to a React front end and being able to get the routes and controllers set up with Express, all that kind of good stuff. So to start, I'll kind of do a pseudo code along here. Basically, I started my project, my npm project, and I created a couple folders. So first, in my config folder, I have my locally hosted MySQL database, and this is where I'm getting my connections. So here's my connection pool. This is pretty basic MySQL stuff. Here is my SQL Workbench, where I have just 2 records in the users table. Like I said, the most basic CRUD app you can ever have. We're about to make. So I have my connection here in my database .js. So that's where we're going to start. Next, we have our server, which is going to run on. I'm running it on here. Have a look at my .env. Doesn't matter. Don't ever do this with real data though. But I'm running it on port 5013. It's just locally hosted for now. We will move it to our server in the future, but that could be a while depending on how long this project takes. But we have our server here, which will start up. And then I have 2 more folders created, one for routes and one for controllers. So these routes are going to push us through to where we need to go when we get an HTTP request in. So right now, today I'm just going to focus on getting users out of our database. Just a select star of the users. Pretty simple. But here we have our user routes, where just our basic get route is going to go to our user controllers, which our controller is going to interface with our database, and I'll write this here, but we'll have our kind of get users method. So to start, we need to create this get users method and export it so that we can use it. So pretty much we're just going to do a select star, and we'll put it in a try catch just in case something goes wrong. But we will create a variable here for the users and query our database. Cool. And we will return it here so we can see the output. And just in case there's an error, we can throw a 500 error. Cool. So there's our basic controller. It's just gonna select everything from our users table, which we have right here. So next, let's go back to our route, and our route looks good. It's gonna be a GET request, and finally, we just need to add our route into our server so we can request and get this data. So we're going to create a user routes variable here and require our user routes router. So we're going to go all right, and then we are going to tell our app to use it. And when we hit /users, that is where we will return the data. Cool. So it's pretty simple. Let's check it out, and let's run our server. And we have an error, not surprising. Typo in our routes. Cool. So our server's running on localhost, which we don't have anything here, but if we go to our users page, we also have another error which says users is not defined. So let's go debug that. And that is because we have a variable name wrong. So again, my typing on camera never fails to be atrocious, but that's okay. We're learning, and as the series goes on, I'll definitely get better. So okay, let's restart our server. And now we should be able to see our data, which is our select statement. So that is the first nullToProd day. Day one of coding is just getting the select statement out. These videos will kind of come and go. However however often I feel like making them. Feel free to tune into the journey, and they'll get a bit smoother. But I just thought this might be a cool idea to put out there, and we'll kind of see where it goes. Thank you guys. Have a great weekend.